Hey everyone, my name is the Theme Park Evangelist. Well, it's time for another live stream, and this time I'm going to be discussing celebrating 5 years of living here in Northern Kentucky, as crazy as it is. Now, I did upload a vlog at 8 a.m. this morning in order to prevent everybody from having to uh, stop celebrating their Father's Day. I decided to upload yesterday's vlog this morning at 8 a.m. and I finally did make it my vlog for returning subscribers as of a little bit ago. So make sure you check that out. It is going to be called checking out. Trying to remember what it's called offhand. You know what? I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna look it up and see what it was called again, because for the life of me, I do not remember. I'm using my phone to cheat, if you can't tell. And all of a sudden, the internet decided to be really bad. Here we go. Checking out the island smokehouse at Soak City. And I'm aware that I am doing a live stream at the same time as Answers in Genesis because it is Monday. So I don't expect anybody that is affiliated with Answers in Genesis to stop what they're doing, because they're all going to be flocking over to watch Answers News do their live stream right now. But anyway, so yes, 5 years ago, literally as of the 14th or the 15th, I literally moved all the way from Central Florida to Northern Kentucky. And I actually wanted to spend the next 20 minutes or so just talking about it very briefly. So, more or less, I grew up in Central Florida. I was born in Kissimmee. I was raised in Davenport. Kissimmee, of course, is not too far from Disney World. And then I moved to Davenport, which is where all four major counties of Central Florida meet: Polk, Lake, Osceola, and possibly Orange, but don't quote me on that. But at least three of the four meet in Davenport. And I lived there up until a little after 9/11, and I got saved just before 9/11, literally just before, uh, meaning I became a Christian. And my parents decided that it was time to get a bigger house. So we actually got a really nice house out in Claremont, so Lake County, over by Leesburg, Howie on in the hills, um, Apopka area, all that. Yeah, that's where I lived for about 3 years. And it was ironic that we moved out there when we did, because about three major hurricanes rolled through during that time frame. And the house ended up becoming just too big for us to handle. And on top of that, while we were living out there, the area just started growing, like, population wise, substantially. It was ridiculous. And we just decided it was just not worth it anymore. So we started looking for a smaller house, and we kept looking and looking, and somehow we found ourselves out in Lake Wales, Florida, and we found a community in a no-name subdivision, ironically. And yes, I really do mean no-name subdivision. I've just checked a few months ago; it's still no-name subdivision, and we really liked the house, and it had a huge backyard. Um, Honestly, I don't remember who lived there before, because I was only 11 years old at the time, and we decided that's where we're gonna move. So we moved everything from Claremont to Lake Wales, and that's where I lived, honestly, from the beginning of middle school all the way until I was 25 years old. So come 2016, of course, right after I got my Ruby Red 2016 Ford Focus, which I sadly don't have anymore, skipping way ahead. I started up my YouTube channel, hence the name, and I actually started that with my best friend Tommy, TJ, whatever you want to call him, and he actually is one of my featured YouTube channel names. So if you want to scroll all the way down to near the bottom of my homepage, you can actually go see that for yourself. And as you guys have probably noticed, I have changed my YouTube banner recently. So now it says the Theme Park Evangelist uploads every Sunday and Monday. That is correct. I am now officially off every Sunday and Monday. So that's why I can now officially upload every Sunday and Monday now. And I really like my new banner because it shows how much I love the Ark Encounter where I used to work. And it was also the whole reason why I moved up here to Kentucky in the first place. And this also uh, is a great storyboard for me to, or a way for me to introduce why I moved up to Kentucky in the first place. So anyway, I'm hoping to gain more subscribers because of the fact that I got a new YouTube banner for that reason. And I'm also hoping with my new YouTube shorts that I do like every single week that I can start gaining more subscribers. I've already gained quite a bit more in just the past month, more than I ever have in the past. So, I'm getting there slowly but surely. So anyway, um, not even less than a year later after I started becoming a YouTuber, my parents invited me out to meet Ken Ham. Now keep in mind 2017 was, or this is, I mean, you probably won't know this, but keep this in mind anyway. 2017 was my prime year as being a YouTuber. So much happened for me as a YouTuber that I really felt like if my camera quality could have been better, I would have gained easily 100 subscribers. And if I had known what I was doing, but I had only been YouTubing for a short period of time at that point. I'll just give you guys one example. For one thing, I went to the opening day of Volcano Bay. Like, how cool is that, right? I can now officially say I've attended an opening day for a theme park as a YouTuber, and that was within the past 8 years. So anyway, August of 2017 rolled around, and I get invited out to Tampa, and I'm listening to Ken Ham speak live for the first time. For those of you who do not know who Ken Ham is, he is the CEO, founder, and president of Answers in Genesis, the Ark Encounter, and the Creation Museum. Well, he's not really the president, but I like to say he is. Actually, it's another guy named Joe Boone, but that's besides the point. But regardless, he is still the CEO and founder. And now he's got this new guy that's kind of like the chief executive officer and all that fun stuff of Answers in Genesis, the Ark Encounter, the Creation Museum, and his name is called Martin Isles. And he's a young guy. Believe it or not, he's also from Australia. Actually, both Ken Ham and Martin Isles are. And I'm sitting there listening, and after the whole thing was done, I said to my parents, "It would be really cool to meet this guy." And my parents were like, "Yeah, if only that could happen." I said, "Well, I might be able to make it happen." They're like, "Yeah, right." So I went and spoke to one of the pastors afterwards, and believe it or not, Ken Ham actually agreed to talk to us. And my parents said to Ken Ham right then and there that they were actually thinking about moving up to Northern Kentucky in the next couple of years and working for him. And I was like, what? Now, I'll be honest with you guys. At this point, I have been living in Central Florida since 1993. And by this point, some of my worldly friends down in Central Florida, not mentioning names, were already starting to burn me out. And I hadn't even known them that long. And I was kind of already getting ready to be done with them. Like, I love them dearly. I still love them dearly, but I was like, I need my space. And I even more so am glad I have a space now because it seems like they're getting more frustrating and more difficult to deal with all the time. So, anyway, I felt like this was an answer to prayer. So I was like, God, if this is your way of telling me I need to move away, thank you. Thank you. So, um, I basically just kind of let God just take over from there. And I spent the next year praying about it. Should I take up the offer and move up to Northern Kentucky and work for Answers in Genesis? Or should I stay in Florida and try to get into this Bible college I was looking at in Northern Florida? And my finances were just out of control at the time. I didn't know how to budget. I didn't know what it was like to be away from my parents, don't get me wrong. And I especially didn't like the idea of me being so far away from my parents. And this was at the time. So, mid 2019 came around, just skipping over all the prep work that took place to get ready for the move. And I literally got in my car, my Ruby Red Ford Focus at the time, and I said bye to the house for the last time as my old house. Don't get me wrong, I've come and visited the house once every single year for the past 4 years, but sometimes, well, actually, I take that back. September of 2022, I never got to go see the house, but I still gotten to see the house. So yes, once every single year, I have gotten to see the old place. But to know that I had just lived there up until that morning, and I'm officially leaving it. This is the last time I'm ever living there. This is it. I'm done. We've signed the paperwork. It's no longer ours. Was sad, and knowing that my life was never going to be the same way again, knowing that my parents were going to start requiring me to be independent for the very first time was hard. And my parents basically said to me, "Okay, you and your brother are going to meet us at the at such and such a motel in Tennessee or whatever, and we'll meet you there." And we drove as far as Tennessee, and we spent the night. We woke up this roughly around the same time the next morning as them, and we had some breakfast. And they said, "Okay, we'll meet you at the house." We had rented a house in Ellesmere, Kentucky, actually not too far from where Katie is currently living. And of course, my brother and I fell behind getting there. And when I first arrived in Kentucky, it was not what I was expecting. And, it was a beautiful state. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been to Kentucky before, but I didn't remember it. And, I'm first driving through, and I was just impressed by how wide open it was and how massive the state was. And, I'm first and thinking, like, okay, I'm in Kentucky now, much further. Oh, I have to get to the top of the state. Wonderful. So we got as far as the Lexington area. And at this point, I hadn't even eaten lunch yet. The last time I ate was about 8 or so in the morning, and that was to have breakfast back at the motel. So we pulled over at a McDonald's, and I decided to get out of the car because I want to stretch my legs out. And I remember the very first thing I saw when I went to this McDonald's was how much everybody loved basketball. And I was like, huh. Not even just basketball. We're talking college basketball. I was like, really? I didn't know college basketball was such a big deal in this state. And my brother's like, oh, yeah, college basketball is a really big deal. And I was like, well, now I know. And we got back in the car, and we kept on going. And we got about Northern Kentucky area. And, at this point, I finally have the GPS rolling if I hadn't already. And the GPS decided to have me get off around the Union area, which is actually where my close friend Alan Green lives. He is somebody I've featured on my YouTube channel before quite a few times, actually. But aside from that, we get over there. And at first, I'm like, okay, where am I going? Where's this GPS taking us? End up taking us the long way. And the first time I went to Ellesmere, I was really impressed by how old fashioned the area was. I was like, where am I? And, we're just driving around and or driving down this road called the Dixie Highway, by the way, like from like history books. And finally, we came up to St. Henry's Catholic Parish Church and School, and we came upon a road called Garvey Avenue. And the GPS said, "Okay, you need to turn right." I was like, "Here, okay." And get this, when we first arrived, there was this big fair going on at the church, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder what this is all about." So, and we never did get to go. And we took a ride down this road and we, kept on going. It looked like we were going to the ghetto. And honestly, I had to say it, I did live in the ghetto at one point. And finally, we went all the way down and we found the house, and there was this big U-Haul. And I still like to tease my dad about this to this day. The U-Haul my dad had rented had bats on it. So I like to joke around that my dad was bats. So my dad asked my brother and I to go with him in the U-Haul, and we get in the U-Haul, and we drove into actual Florence, and we went to a local mattress store. I believe it was called Ashley Furniture. It was next to the Meyer. Once again, I don't know how I didn't notice the Meyer right away, but it's whatever. And my dad straight up just bought my brother and I and himself and my mom brand new mattresses, and I've still been sleeping on it to this day 5 years later. And it's still in excellent condition. Don't get me wrong, it really is. I was not expecting that. I was like, who just buys their adult child or whatever brand new mattresses? At this point, I was expecting to have to buy my own. And you know what also was crazy at the time was I had been out of work for maybe a week or two. I worked as much as I possibly could at Publix until the last minute, and then I didn't have a choice. I had to quit and I had to focus on moving. And I didn't have a job quite right away when I first got to Northern Kentucky. So I was living off of some savings that I had back in the day when I actually was saving money. Now I'm either paying for my bills and helping Katie out financially, my fiance, for those of you who do not know her, we're getting married next August. And I was just like, okay, now what? And we end up spending the entire day out and about, just driving around and getting stuff done. Finally, near the end of the day, my dad decided, okay, we've done enough. Let's go have some dinner because we didn't have any groceries in the house at the time. So my dad took us down to an Arby's because we didn't know where any Arby's were. And the only one that we knew about at the time was one that they had seen on the interstate. So they took us to an Arby's that was off of US 42, which is ironically a road that we live about 5 minutes away from right now. And that's only an estimate, by the way, for those of you who do not know. And we sat there for a good half hour. We had some dinner, and then we went back and we slept. What really creeped me out was what the house I was living in at the time had a graveyard in the backyard. But also on the bright side, it did at least have a deer den, so I guess it can't be that bad. But either way, it was just weird being in a completely different state, in a completely different area, and away from everybody I ever knew. And the next morning, my parents wake me up and they say, "Okay, we're taking you and your brother to this church your mother and I went to months ago for your very first time." And I was like, "Cool." And we got in the car with them, and it was raining all day that day. Something I've discovered about this state is it rains a lot. But right now we're under a drought, but that's aside from the point. So I remember we pulled into the visitor parking lot right at 10:45 in the morning, and we walked in. The very first thing I noticed about that church is they have gremlins, and that's only a joke, I promise. Uh, Basically, they had wiring issues, and my dad was easily able, within just a couple of weeks or so, to jump in and start helping them solve their wiring issues. And my dad also discovered that they were having issues in the sound booth, and my dad's like, "Don't worry, I got this," because I was something else I discovered that they were having struggles back there. My word, I could not talk. My dad has changed everything in the past 5 years. He's made everything so much better back there. It's incredible. And I had no idea how involved this church was in the missions department. Actually, my parents are currently on a mission trip with them. I'm just not going to say where, but right now they are overseas, so just be praying for them. But anyway, it's here or there. They are going to be. I mean, well, they were on a mission trip. Right now, they're enjoying their vacation. They took a short vacation while right after they got done with their mission trip, and they'll be back on Wednesday night. Thank God, because they've been gone for a while now. But anyway, it's ironic, because 5 years ago we had just moved here, and at the time my brother and I had to stay here and take care of the cats in the house, and we had just moved here, and um my parents are like, "All right, your mother and I are going to um what was it again? British Columbia, Victoria for our anniversary." And they went and saw John Lennon of ELO in concert while they were on their anniversary. And they had just celebrated 25 years. This year is their 30th. And I think that's why they decided to do another big celebration. No wonder they're doing something really big this year. When they get back, I'll tell you guys, but right now, with them still being gone, I don't wanna say anything just in case somebody decides to sneak in, like, while I'm at work or something. Not that I'm gonna mention my work schedule or not. Besides, I'm home every afternoon, evening, and night anyway, so it's not like, I'm not here to protect the house. But, anyway, the, best thing I can say is, you know, it was just or I guess what I was trying to get at was when I first got here from Central Florida, my parents had arranged, for this trip to Victoria. And, we had just moved. And normally, when you start going to a church for your very first time, depending on the church is usually very good about finding some kind of help for um people who just moved into the area. And we did find this out. We came at a really weird time. The church was having their VBS at the time, the week after we arrived. So people would be coming from their day jobs and going straight to church to help out with the VBS. But somehow the worship leader slash the missions pastor was able to find time in his busy schedule to come over and help my parents, my brother, and I move into our new place. And that was really nice. So at least we did have some kind of help, but normally we would have a whole football team from the church. So shortly after I arrived here in northern Kentucky, I did start job hunting, but I also knew I had to start grocery shopping because I was, running out of food. But before that all went down, I actually got invited to see my close friend out in the Centerville, Ohio area. And I went out there and he introduced me to Meyer for the very first time. For those of you who do not know what Meyer is, it is a retail based company that is well known for selling a wide variety of things that that Walmart does, but much better quality. And they also do really cool sales like 7 for 7. They used to do 10 for 10 before it started getting out of hand, and they also often do BOGOs. They are well known for their produce getting delivered in daily. You get the picture. So we go over to Meyer together, and I actually got my air mattress from them. Meyer has some of the best air mattresses I've ever slept on in my life. And even my dad can attest to that one. And this close friend has taken me to some of the best donut shops around. He has introduced me to Raising Cane's. He has introduced me to a really pretty waterfall out near him. And he also introduced me to the hometown of Labor Day weekend. Was good. So sorry. So anyway, I got to go out there, and shortly after I got back, I was out at my very first job interview for Aldi, which got shot down, by the way, by the president himself. But it's here or there. And yeah, I know how awkward, right? Having a interview with the president of Aldi. He was from Switzerland. But hey, at least I got to meet the president of Aldi. Don't know how that worked out, but it did. He really liked me. He really liked what I had to say. He just didn't it wasn't who he was looking for. And I'm like, okay, well, might as well go get groceries. Can't get them here. And honestly didn't know my way to Walmart, and I didn't feel like turning on my GPS. I was like, shoot, let's just explore a little bit. So I just took a random left. And this time I was actually looking for it. Now I had just been to this Chick-fil-A over here not too long ago because I had a gift card for them. And this time I was like, I didn't know there was a Meyer here. Really, David? You're so oblivious, you're just now noticing it. You've only been over here a small handful of times. So I went in and I did some grocery shopping and I really liked it. I really liked this particular store. So I came back again and I liked it so much that I was like, I might just fill out an application. So I filled out a job application for Meyer. And at this point, I've been living there for so long that, or I've been living in the area for about a month. So, I had already had time to explore the whole area and whatnot. And within 90 minutes, I was hired and I was working for them full time. It was crazy. So you might be wondering, so what did I do for a living before that happened? Well, ironically, no, I did not have a job physically, but I did have a guaranteed job at Kings Island. Before I moved to Northern Kentucky, I did apply for Kings Island, and I did actually have an interview with them, I believe sometime. I'm trying to think here. I know it's been a while. I'm trying to look back and see when it was. So y'all have to bear with me here. All right, we're back in 2019. Okay, so exactly 2 days from now, on the 19th, I got invited out to Kings Island to their HR office, and I'm sitting there in their HR office, and I finally got taken back for like some kind of building block exercise thing, and I did really. It's basically was like a team building thing. And then I did so well with that, they decided to move me on to phase two. So I got to actually sit down with a manager of some sort or one of the HR people, and they started asking me some various questions, and they were like, so blah blah blah, and this and that, and I more or less got hired for games and arcade over in Beast Games. To make a long story short, and literally, as I was about to leave, a major thunderstorm hit, and that particular day was supposed to be one of their employee nights, and it immediately got canceled like that. It was insane. I was like, "What?" But nonetheless, I did eventually get out of there. No, I did not know how to get to the employee parking lot. I ended up parking over in the guest parking lot. I didn't know anything about Kings Island. I mean, I've been going to Kings Island for 5 years now. Okay, I didn't go back in 2020, but that's besides the point. But, well, I might have near the end there, but either way, and that's only a might. But I know for sure I did go back in 2021, but still, for pretty much 5 years now, I've been going to Kings Island. So, I mean, if you think about it, how much did I know about Kings Island in mid 2019 versus here in mid 2024? I mean, it's a huge difference. I mean, come on. I mean, if you even look back at what my very first Kings Island vlog when I was getting myself in for free as a Kings Island employee, you can tell my lack of Kings Island knowledge versus now I'm like, "Pfft." It's like, okay, I've been going here for 5 years. I might as well explore some different areas that have been around since I started coming here for the first time 5 years ago. And let's go check it out for my very first time. Obviously, everybody has known about it. And for those of you who do not know, maybe you're just interested in seeing it from my perspective. Or maybe it just hasn't been put on YouTube yet, and you're just seeing it on YouTube for the first time, and you're just like, oh my word, why hasn't anybody done this before? Kind of thing. And every year that I've been here since COVID, Kings Island has come up with something brand new. I have seen Kings Island improve so much over the past 5 years. It's incredible. I mean, I was working at Kings Island when they announced Orion, if that says anything. I like to joke around that Orion is the only um, COVID coaster that they have. Get it, COVID coaster. But yet it's their best coaster that they have. But, like I said, I was planning on keeping this live stream about 20 to 30 minutes, and it's a little after 30 minutes. But as a summary to this entire live stream, a lot has happened over the past 5 years, but I still wanted to take you back about 5 years and just give you major highlights about what led me to move up here in the first place. What was my YouTube channel like roughly before I came up here? And of course, to remind everybody what caused me to start this YouTube channel in the first place. Obviously, I can learn more about that in the history of the theme park evangelist, which I am still working on this summer. Um, I am planning on using Mondays to work on that. Today was all about celebrating 5 years of living here in Northern Kentucky. It's my only vlog today. Sometimes on Sundays, I will not be able to necessarily vlog at Kings Island because sometimes on Sundays, I can't necessarily just run out. Sometimes I got family stuff going on that I have to attend to. So you might just have to watch an at home vlog on a Sunday and then just watch an out of the house vlog on a Monday. Sometimes I can't even do it out of the house on a Sunday or a Monday you might just have to deal with a short or a couple of shorts and then just watch at home vlogs. I gotta do what I gotta do. But right now, my voice is starting to go because I'm severely dehydrated. I've only had one bottle of water today, so I'm gonna stop for now. Just be praying for me throughout the work week. There's some craziness going on at work. I'm really fighting hard to get it resolved. A lot of people look at me at work and just think just because I'm all serious at work and I care deeply about my job means that I must be this way outside of work. That's not true. I'm actually very chill and laid back, and I'm very carefree. I like everybody to be able to do whatever they want to do. I'm all about people doing their own thing, but I will not lose this job until God tells me it's time to move on. And for those of you who do follow me on my YouTube channel and have been for almost 8 years now, you'll know how carefree I am, and I'm one of the most fun guys you'll ever meet, and I'm also one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet too. Like the young lady who met me at Country Pumpkin last year, you know how nice I am. But I will see you guys in the next vlog. And just remember, I upload every Sunday and Monday without fail. May not always be what you want to see, but I still upload every Sunday and Monday. And just, make sure you check your my Facebook page throughout the week. I will post updates on there whenever I need to, just letting people know, hey, hey, I'm uploading a vlog today, or I just might randomly upload a vlog that day depending on what's going on. So just make sure you're checking at least once a day. Check at night though, not in the mornings. This morning was an exception because yesterday was technically a holiday, but make sure you check your YouTube channel between 10 p.m. to midnight once a night, except for Sundays and Mondays, because you just never know when I'm going to just randomly pop in a vlog. Um, this week, I don't plan on having any other vlogs posted. I may or may not on Friday, so check my YouTube channel on Friday night to see if I just randomly drop in a vlog. Until then, always remember, you can do all things through Christ that strengthens you. Have a great day. Peace out.